Marcel has opened the batting with a conundrum, Matty.
Yep.
The conundrum I have for you is the NRL draw. It's embarrassing. Well, I don't think even you could work out that on a Monday morning as a conundrum, the NRL draw, can you?
I look sometimes, Matty, I just can't work out sometimes where you'll see sides play in round 2 or 3, then suddenly about 5 weeks later they're up against each other again. I just go, how does that happen? Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I know. It's a. Yeah. Do you know what, Matty? I liked when I don't think it's happened this year. I don't think I missed the memo. Like where they just have a round off. I really liked the Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday Origin. I thought that worked really well. I'm surprised we've gone back to Wednesday.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that momentum these days is everything, and I think that when you give up momentum, as in when you give up NRL momentum, if you stop, it's very hard to start again. And as you well know, I mean, the amount of broadcast dollars. I mean, if you stop your momentum to give somebody else or if you stop your momentum to give yourself a breather, it means there's a whole heap of holes out there in broadcast world that they just don't want. Yeah. There's too much at stake.
I sort of think, Matty, if we did do it, it's an opportunity to put, like we oftentimes say, we've got to fit this game in and that game. It would be an opportunity to do a little bit more, like, Samoa versus Tonga, Fiji, etc., etc. There was an opportunity there. I do get what you're saying. I'm probably coming at it from a player's point of view as well, is to sit right in the middle of the season, which will lead on to what we're about to talk about with Jared Croker. God, it's nice just to be able to, just to really just have that extra week off. It makes a difference. And and spilling into Croker, I think that is part of the reason why Ricky is going to spell him. I think it's partly as a thing to get back to Canberra. He'll be great for all those fans and great for him. But also, Croker's, he's got 300 games. He's played a lot of football. He's not a big guy, and he's playing great football at the moment. But I reckon part of the reason is to just to rest him up. It's a long season, and keep him going.
I think a lot of people are asking the question here, where does this fit in between the emotion of doing something that somebody like Jared Croker deserves, and Ricky can be an emotional guy, versus the business reality of being a footballer and playing when your team needs you week in and week out? I think that's the thing that people are struggling with. So if they've penciled this in to say, okay, look, if it ties up okay and Jared Croker, we can have a week off beforehand and it makes everything fit into place for a 300 at home, it kind of makes sense. But I think in the modern day reality, a lot of fans and a lot of footballers, I heard Cooper Cronk's not a fan of this either, and he said, you don't count your games, you make every game count. But is it a different scenario when you're looking at a player who needs to be judged and rested at some stage throughout the year? And then do we slap them down for having the heart, I guess, and the emotion to say, we're going to look after a great here? It's a fine line to balance, I think, for the fans.
It is. Yeah, it is, Matty. No doubt. I just think a portion of this has to do with resting Croker up. As I said before, as you get older, Matty, like what starts to happen is, you start to get a lot of soft tissue injuries. He's had a fair bit of that, and he's carried fair few injuries in the last couple of years, Jared Croker, and yet he's playing great football at the moment. I just think at the moment it does marry up. I'm not going to outwardly come out and say, look, I'm a huge fan of it, but I don't have a problem with it. I actually think it's pretty smart coaching. The temptation is if you've got an experienced older player and he's playing great football, well, just keep him going. But still, they do need a rest.
What about teammates? What if there's one teammate in the Canberra side who looks around and goes, Jared Croker might be Jared Croker and he's an absolute legend, and he probably needs a rest, but we need him more than he needs a rest. Is there a temptation, or is there a thought there that could form some cracks?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's enough respect, and the players would be fully aware of managing a player like Croker through the season, like Paul Harrigan. Like when I played with the Chief, there were times where, the things that Chief would do to get on the park, you understood, particularly when he would carry injuries at the back end of his season. Sometimes, Matty, he would turn up at the captain's run and just say to us, boys, I don't think I can do this. Yeah, mate, Chief, no problem. You know, we understand it, we get it. And that was a real example for us. I think towards that 97 year we won, I think Chief might have missed about 8 or 9 games, simply so that when he hit the finals, he was up and he was charged.
We'll do our snap judgments on round 13 in just a sec, but your best performer of the weekend, Johnsy, for BizCover, Business Insurance Made Easy, obviously the abbreviated round. Have you got a best performer that stuck out from the games that we had?
Well, I'll say firstly, Matty, I thought the standard of football was fantastic over the weekend. Some really great games. Loved the Warriors up against the Broncos. High standard. Adam Reynolds was brilliant. The way he managed that side in New Zealand. I mean, to go over there without their origin stars, Matty, in New Zealand, in those conditions, which really aren't conducive to the way the Broncos like to play, pull off that win. That was huge. But I'm going to go Dylan Brown. Brown he's a guy that we've spoken about such enormous potential, and you're just waiting for the egg to hatch, and it's happened in the last couple of weeks. You can just see him starting to mature. It was how he's built his game the other night. Brown has got such an amazing run threat. He's a big guy. He's got great footwork, very athletic. And if you look at the game, the first 4 or 5 times he took the ball and advanced it to the line, he just challenged him with his footwork and size. Okay. Now, what that set him up later in the game for his playmaking. After about those initial touches, he starts to carry the ball to the line, and the defenders, they're spooked by him and they're starting to get attracted to him, or they're distracted by him and taking the eyes off the runners. And some of his short ball playing was exceptional. He's in great form at the moment. And as I said before, he's really starting to understand his own game.
Dylan Brown, our best performer of the weekend for BizCover Business Insurance. It'll have your small business winning every time. bizcover.com.au. The snap judgments are coming up. The Dolphins, the Eels, Broncos, Raiders, Knights winners on the abbreviated round heading into State of Origin 1. We've also got a poll up on our Twitter at Matty White. SEN, do you agree with the Raiders resting Jared Croker this week? It's that simple. It's a yes or no. Do you agree with Ricky Stewart deciding to park Jared Croker and have that 300th game at home? Back on the text line, Pedro, you've said it well. Matt, we somehow focus at times on the negative within and outside the game. What I saw by both sides surrounding Corey Hadawira and Naira showed what quality men these are. Congratulations to both teams. Well said, Pedro. Well put. Snap fitness for the feeling with our snap judgments. Dolphins v Dragons. So the Dolphins win this one 26 points to 12. Does this speak to a broader issue, this matchup, where you've got the wily old fox in Wayne Bennett who's showing what experience can do at a brand new team, plucked out of nowhere essentially, and bingo, they are continuing to do what many people thought they couldn't do. And here are the Dragons, who are on the verge of hiring a coach who doesn't have full first grade experience yet. Does it speak to a broader issue about where this is at?
Yeah, look at Wayne. It's funny, Wily Old Fox is the perfect description for Wayne. And people say the beauty about Wayne is Wayne keeps it simple. But I tell you what, it takes a lot of intelligence and a lot of experience to be able to keep it simple, if that makes sense, right? Because the game, Matty, and the tactical side of the game is complex, right? And that's where a lot of young coaches get mixed up. They struggle getting the message across. Wayne, all that experience he's had, he knows what works and what doesn't. I mean, let's not forget for the fact when the Broncos come into the competition, right? That was a Queensland State of Origin side. When they come into the comp, they said, mate, this team's just going to win the comp every year. It took them 5 years to win a comp, and some of that had to do with Wayne. Wayne finding his way and worked out what worked in the NRL, how it was different to the Brisbane Rugby League. The Broncos in the early years were playing sideline to sideline, a style that wasn't working, and then Langer and Walters took control of the side and was drilling through the middle and short passing. It's just all that experience that he takes now and he can apply to this football side. Yeah, that was, mate, Matty, they just burn teams out. And this year, they've lost really crucial players like Sean O'Sullivan, and they've lost Felice through suspension, but they just keep winning. It's amazing. Like, I said this last Friday. I said, I just see them playing finals, because even at get to the back end of the year and they go, well, the Dolphins have got to win 3 from 4 to make the finals. I just go, mate, Wayne will do it. He'll find a way. He'll get them there.
They've got the Warriors next weekend, and they'll travel over there to Auckland. So the Dolphins are currently 6th on the ladder. Incredible, isn't it, what you think about, and just what you said there about Wayne saying less. Sometimes, it takes a lot of years to be able to learn how to say even less than what you've got in your kit bag, so to speak. So that could be a big issue for the Dragons going forward, and we expect sometime this week, perhaps, if not next, that Jason Riles will be announced as the head coach there. The Eels defeated the Cowboys 24 points to 16. You touched on the form in particular of Dylan Brown. Do we have any further thoughts, questions, answers for the North Queensland Cowboys at this stage?
Oh, Matty, I thought they showed there was some good signs there. Look, I said on the show last night, there was a much improved performance. We go, well, thanks, Scoop. You get beat by 60 the week before. I tell you, if they're not better, then there is something seriously wrong. There were some pretty good signs. I thought Scotty Drinkwater was good. They missed some opportunities. I went back and had a look at the tape last night. There were some opportunities that they missed. Look, mate, they're such a talented side, and we're just a little bit, very similar to the Roosters. We're just waiting for them to come good. I don't know if they'll play finals, though, Matty. I don't know if they will. I think there's too many other sides playing too good. And even if they were to creep in, I can't see them do anything, because they're going to have to from this point on be the very best form of themselves to make it. I just don't see them getting there.
Well, the interesting thing about the weirdness of the ladder in 2023 is that the Cowboys are 16th on the ladder, right? They're on 10 points at the moment. They've won 5 games. This time last year, they were 3rd on the ladder. They'd won 9 games. However, there are 3 teams in the bottom 9 that have had 2 byes already. The Cowboys have not had a bye. So there are points still in the bank there. If they had their 2 byes, I know we're playing what ifs. If they had their 2 byes, they wouldn't be any worse than 11th at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's very, very deceiving. However, form doesn't lie, does it?
Form. That's the biggest thing, Matty. It's form. How far they've got to turn things around. And at the moment, they're going through a crisis of confidence. That's how it manifests itself. You start at what starts, and I think it's very similar to the Roosters. What starts as a football, like a style problem, or, hey, guys, we weren't quite up for this one, we've got to be up, is how that manifests itself starts to become a crisis of confidence, and that's a bigger problem.
The Broncos defeated the Warriors 26 points to 22. Quick one on the Broncos. Your snap judgment there, because I still have your words of when we started this season ringing in my ear. When do you trust the Broncos? I mean, we're state of origin time. They got the win on the board without some players.
Yeah. Well, they've just about won me over, Matty. Starting to trust them. That was a big test to go over there and win that one. As I said before, we're playing New Zealand in New Zealand. It's cold, it's wet, ball slippery, doesn't suit the way the Broncos want to play. They got the job done. And as you said, without guys like Payne Haas and Carrigan and so on and so forth, that was one of their best wins in the last couple of seasons. And Adam Reynolds, man, hasn't he just paid for himself over and over again? And when you watched Reynolds play the other night, he knew they couldn't play that normal Broncos style. He just pulled everything back a little bit, and but that's a great game of football. The game I spoke to Sir Peter Leach last week, the Mad Butcher, and I just said, mate, watching from afar, am I right in saying that the game in New Zealand is in a real sweet spot? He said, Matty, he said, I don't think I've ever seen it better. He said the support across the country. He said it's fantastic.
They might need to have a little chat to the crowd there at Napier, however, because I don't know if they're going to get an invite back anytime soon. And again, back to the weirdness of the ladder. When you look at the top 4 teams, 3 of them have had 2 byes. The Panthers, the Sharks, and the Storm have all had 2 byes. The Broncos yet to have their bye. So if they had the two like the other teams that had the two byes, they'd be on 22 points right now instead of locked on 18 points, which is what the top four have. But again, like I say, the weirdness of the ladder is the weirdness of the ladder. The Raiders beat the Rabbitohs 33 points to 26, and the Newcastle Knights yesterday by 10 points over the Seagulls, who ran out a puff in the end, 28 points to 18. Our Snap judgments, thanks to Snap Fitness. You can go to your Snap Fitness to find out more, snapfitness.com.au. They've got you covered. We're back after this.